Welcome back to the kill screen. Now this is something I have not done in quite a while. What the kill screen is, for those who are not familiar with it, since it's been such a long time since I did it, is my video game rant, my video game reviews, and I haven't really done that many video game reviews on here. Mostly what I've been doing is what I'm doing tonight, and that is tripping arcades. Now we started this last year, my wife and I, and what we're doing is we're jumping in the car and we're going off to other cities, close cities, some of them are close cities, and we're searching for old style arcades that still exist out there, and we go into them and we review them and let you know what we think. So far we've been to one called 1984, and then we went to another one called Arcadia, and this one is actually called the Galloping Ghost. We went there last year, believe it or not, for our 20th anniversary. We were trying to figure out what to do, and my wife's like, well, you know, let's go to this Galloping Ghost arcade because it's supposed to be really good, and I've been hearing a lot of good things about it, but it's all the way out by Chicago, and for me, it's about a 5-hour drive to get there. So I was like, all right, you know, it's our anniversary, let's go out there, let's hit this arcade, and maybe we'll go to Chicago afterwards, or before, and hang out. Of course, what we did here was the stupidest thing you could ever do. Last year, when the Cubs won the World Series, we went to Chicago the very next day. And oh man, it was a nightmare. We couldn't drive. There was thousands of people, millions of cars. We got lost, and we couldn't get into the museum. We couldn't go anywhere we wanted to. But we finally left the city and did get to the Galloping Ghost. This is one of those reviews that I've been trying to get to, and something else comes up and something else comes up. So finally, I'm sitting here doing our tripping arcades for Galloping Ghost. Now, once you approach the Galloping Ghost, it's pretty much on a regular street. I mean, there's nothing really special about the street. There's some restaurants and some breakfast places. I think there's like a Burger King there, and from what I can remember, I think there's like a car repair shop. I mean, it's just a regular, everyday street. And the problem with this is, you know, it has a little sign that says Galloping Ghost. It's a little tiny sign. And if you're not familiar with it, you could drive right past, back and forth on the street and probably never notice that the thing exists because it doesn't, there's nothing really that stands out about the building. Unless you look over it and you can see the video games in the windows, there's nothing really out there advertising the Galloping Ghost unless you know about it ahead of time. Some of these other ones we've gone to have like the big neon lights, and you know, the whole windows are lit up and everything, so it really is like, oh, okay, this is an arcade. This one, I mean, we're there during the day, so maybe they light it up at night, but it's one of those you can drive right past it, and if you don't know what you're looking for, you'll go right past it. Don't go past it, because this is, without a doubt, is one of the greatest, or probably the greatest arcades I have ever stepped into. I mean, this is arcade heaven. Literally, that's what this is. Going there, I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what to expect because the other two arcades we went to, 1984 actually had a pretty decent amount of games, and then we went to Arcadia, which did not have that amount of games. Then we go into this one, you're talking aisles and aisles and aisles of stand-up arcade games. As you walk in there, you're just kind of like blown away. You're like, oh, it has everything. It has every game that you may have never heard of, or games you might have played back in the day and forgotten about, or games that you've always wanted to play. They're probably there because they have everything, literally. The only thing that they're lacking in, at least when we went down there last year, was pinball games. They had, I think, 3 or 4 pinball games, and they're crammed all the way in the back, and I think only 1 or 2 worked out of the 4 they had. And that's a little disappointing for those who are big pinball wizards and love pinball games, but the arcade cabinets completely make up for that. As I was walking through there looking, it's just aisles and aisles of all the classics. Donkey Kong that's ever existed is there. Same thing with Pac-Man. All the Pac-Man machines are there. They had Dragon's Lair, and then it had Space Ace, and then of course it had my favorite, Elevator Action, and that was there. And literally, you can just go there, and there's aisles and aisles and aisles, and they seem like they never end of games. They actually had a Pac-Man game there I had never heard of before, and it was based off of the Pac-Man TV show, which I really enjoyed when I was a kid. I loved how they did the Pac-Man TV show with the round Pac-Man walking in Pac-Man Town. And I don't remember the name of the video game. It was like Pac-Land or something like that. But you're actually playing the cartoon character from the animated show, and you're walking through the town and jumping over like fire hydrants and killing the ghost and picking up pellets. That's easy to say. And it's a really cool game. And I was like, wow, that was one of the very few Pac-Man games I did not know that existed. And I had a blast playing it. It was so much fun. They also had Discs of Tron there, which is something really hard to find. I haven't seen that in a long time. However, they did not have the stand-up, because I remember there was a stand-up one that you actually walked inside of, and it was all blue, just like, you know, the original Tron, and made everything glow if you're wearing white, and it had the blue lights inside of it. And it was like a cabinet. You actually stood inside this cabinet and played it. This was just the stand-up arcade machine of it. But it was still cool. It was still really awesome to sit there and play Discotron again, because, again, I haven't played that since probably it originally came out. And then they had the Avengers game there, which is really goofy fun. We played that for a little while. And then I found, one of my old favorites that I had forgotten about. And this is a game that I absolutely used to love, and that was Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. I believe they used to have that in an old movie theater that I would go to. And I just loved everything about the game. It's thunder. I used to love everything about that game, and it was so fun to sit there and play it again, and I had a blast. Literally, it was like me going back in the 80s.
Oh, jeez. I remember this.
We walk from here. And there's games there you've never heard of. And what's so great about the arcade is you pay, you know, the one price, and you can sit there all day and play, which is what I did with Elevator Action again. I literally sat there for an hour or two and played nothing but Elevator Action, and I enjoyed it completely. And then there's one game that my wife and I found called Golden Axe, and this is a game that I used to play all the time when I was a kid. So we stood there for a good hour, and we beat the game. We actually played through all the levels until we got to the end of the game and beat it. And that's what's so fun about these arcades, to where you don't have to pump quarters after one after another, because you can just sit there, and if you die, you start over. And you can beat games that, you know, you could never beat when you were a kid, because it would cost you, you know, a 4 weeks allowance just to try to get through the end of the level. And that's what makes this thing so fun. I mean, I cannot say how much this meant to me going to this place. And again, it was, like I said, our 20th anniversary, and I just had a blast. I can't wait to go back to that place. And it's right out by Chicago. I believe it's probably 20 minutes from Chicago, maybe 15 minutes. It's not that far from Chicago itself. And it's just, if you are anywhere around that area, even if you're not, seriously, it's worth taking a trip out there, because it's that good. So this arcade, Galloping Ghost, gets a 5 out of 5. It's going to be really difficult to find any other arcade that will come close to this, because this is it. It had everything except for pinball machines, and I'm not taking any score off for that because of the thousands and thousands of arcade cabinets. Ghost and Goblins. They had Ghost and Goblins there. I mean, come on. Oh, and Defender, too. Can't forget about Defender, you know. Because all the classics, everything, and even, like I said, just rows and rows of games that you've never heard of, or probably you've never heard of, and you can sit there and try them out, and you might find something really cool. like they had the Three Stooges, and I barely remember playing the Three Stooges. And you can sit there and play it, and it's just great fun. And that's what this is, just so much fun. I can't recommend it higher. It's one of the absolute best arcades I've ever been to, and probably ever will be gone to. And that's one of the reasons, like, now I've been spoiled. You know, I have been spoiled now. And how am I ever going to find anything that tops Galloping Ghost? I mean, that's the top of the pedestal right now. Anything I go to, that's the standard. That is what I am going to measure it by, is the Galloping Ghost, because it is that good. If you are any kind of arcade fan, any kind of video game fan, old school, do yourself a favor. Go there. Find it, go there. You will love it. And if you love this review, or even like the review, please hit that subscribe button and that bell for the next time I put up another tripping arcade. I don't really have another one to go to. I'm looking into a couple. There's a few right here in my city I might actually try out and see how good they are before I go off traveling to another place again. I will continue this series because I love doing it, and it's so much fun and gets you out of the house, and it's a little road trip. It's a win-win situation, and you play video games, so come on. So until next time, I hope you enjoyed the kill screen, and I will see you later at the arcades.